All right. Well, we're back. The safety in the Sportswriter band cut out a little bit quick tonight, but we are back. It's Thursday, the 14th of October, getting ready to talk about the world of sports as we head into week 6 of the NFL. I hate how fast this season goes. Week 6, a lot of stuff going on. Shockingly, we got to talk about John Gruden, no longer the coach of the Oakland Raiders. Not because of losing, but because of an off-field emails that he sent apparently 11 or 10 years ago that came back to bite him. A lot of things over. And we were just talking before we went on the air. I mean, Nate, I don't know what it takes to be a coach anymore. I don't know. I mean, we were talking in another sport, the Cardinals. Guy wins 17 straight, goes into the playoffs. They lose in a one-game playoff. He's fired. The Yankees fire their batting coach after the fact of the matter of they have guys that average 200 strikeouts a year. Why do any of these guys even go into coaching anymore? I don't know. But John Gruden, like him or hate him, but I don't know how to feel about this. I really don't, because it's an email. It's something that was said 10 years ago. I know we should all be smarter than that, but what do you feel about it?
My whole point, I'm not going to stand behind anything he said in the email, because obviously none of that stuff is good. But the point is, my whole point is, he didn't work for the Raiders then. He didn't work for the NFL then. So I'm trying to figure out how they can fire him for something he did when he had no affiliation to them. And, the whole thing about getting, him being fired was after the second round of all this happened, which is when, the misogynistic stuff came out and the homophobic stuff. And, they took him out of the Ring of Honor in Tampa Bay, yet they signed Antonio Brown and Richard Sherman, who both have been arrested for domestic violence. So, I just think it's very hypocritical. And let's be honest, all these people that, are throwing shade on this guy whose life is now ruined and turned upside down, and he no longer can be, he's never going to coach again. He's never going to be able to be involved in the sport and the game that he's given his entire life to ever again. And let's be honest, if you went through every single person in the world's text messages and emails and took them out of context, you could find something that someone would get offended from.
Well, yeah, let's all admit we go back in our lives, we said something stupid or done something stupid. And the other thing about it is, as you just said, if you're going to put out one part of the email, you have to put out the whole email. I want to know the whole context.
Yeah, all that was published was the one line.
Yeah, what he said.
Yeah, and it was like, well, what did the other person say? And I mean, I'm not defending Gruden. I don't even really like John.
No,
Gruden.
I'm not. But if you're gonna put this much weight into something that was said, and I mean, and everybody pounces. It reminds me so much of Joe Paterno and when he got taken out, and everybody was like, "Oh, well, he knew, he should have," and it's like, that's the difference. Is he did what he's supposed to do? Actually, he reported that what his old coach was doing. He reported to the proper authorities. The authorities did nothing with it, but Joe Paterno had to fall on his sword for it. You know what I mean? It's like,
well, everyone just wants everybody fired now. They want Urban Meyer fired for some girl grinding on him. They want, everyone wants somebody fired.
Exactly. The Urban Meyer thing is a 20-second picture. I mean, was he just sitting there on a chair and all of a sudden she dances up to him and then she danced away? Yeah. I mean, we don't see the 30 seconds before or the 30 seconds after. We don't see, maybe he pushed her away. We don't know. Maybe he did
push her away at first. And if you watch the whole, because there was an extended version of it published, and at first he's pushing her away and trying to get her off of him. And then after a while, he kind of gives up.
I mean,
I don't really blame him. I mean,
I don't know. It's just, there's like I said, I would love to see the whole email. I would love if you're going to give me that much of the email, give me the rest. Give me what else was said, who was saying it, who was he talking to, what was it in reference to. I mean, if you take out the one line, maybe he said, maybe it could. I mean, I've been in locker rooms. I've done interviews. I've done stuff where, if you take a blurb out of what a guy says off your recorder to make the whatever point you're making, but he says like 15, 20 seconds more of what you're not going to use. And if it's something I've been by where somebody treated something at a high school level that a coach got grief for. I didn't use it in my story because it had nothing to do with. Another guy made it a big deal in his story, and that coach was like, he actually came to me later and said, "Thank you for not using it." I said, "It wasn't part of my story." I said, "It was part of my story. I would have used it." I said, "It wasn't what I was thinking about, or it wasn't the aim of my story." So I don't know, but I think it's important when you're talking about the whole issue of a man losing his job to get the whole story.
Well, especially when he's still owed $60 million.
Yeah.
I just, and this isn't something really that I think that Mark Davis really even wanted to do, but he didn't have a choice. I mean, this wasn't going to go away, and it just was getting worse and worse and worse. And I don't know, man. This doesn't set the only thing that I don't even really want to talk about it anymore because I don't even know what to say. But I do know the one thing I do want to say is this sets a really bad precedent, because if you're going to fire people, this is all anyone wants to say is we want to move forward and that we want to get better as a society, and we want to remove racism, and we want to reduce get rid of all this stuff. Well, you're not going to do that if you punish people for stuff they did 10 years ago.
Right.
You need to judge people on what they're doing now and how they're acting now, and if they're changing, and if they have the ability to change, and if people still want to act like they acted 20 years ago and 10 years ago, well, then we can hold those people accountable for that. But just ripping people apart for stuff they did a long time ago, and especially emails or text messages or anything like that they send, that's just not a good look, because anyone could say something that may offend someone.
Everyone has.
Yeah.
If you haven't, you're except maybe a mime in Central Park. That's the only person who hasn't said something that they've regretted. So let it be. Let's go back to Monday night. Your boy had a great night, Mr. Jackson. The Colts, I mean, it seemed like they had run out of either heart or plans late in that game. I know they had a problem with their field goal kicker during the night. I'll tell you one thing. The first thing that came out of my mind after watching that game, I might take Andrews over Kelsey.
Andrews might, yeah, I don't know. That they're kind of different players, but Andrews might be the best tight end in the in the business. I mean, he's it's unbelievable. So
I mean, he knows how to get open. He knows how to go deep. He knows how to do everything. I mean, it was just a joke. It was, and it brings to mind something you brought up this year, or a lot this year. It's like, whether it be Devontae Adams, whether it be Mark Andrews, whether it be Kelsey. I mean, these defensive coordinators, I mean, take away the one guy, he's going to go to him every time there's a clutch play. I mean, and it, I know it. And I know he's a great player, but you got to find somebody, put your best defender on him.
Yeah, he's just, several times he was covered and they just still couldn't keep him from catching the football. And, the Colts were out some defensive backs, and that's why the that's why the Ravens just kept throwing it, because they couldn't stop him. And, this guy, I think I don't want to hear anymore how this guy can't throw the football. He
No, I
is
mean he's
unbelievable.
anybody who doesn't give him his due anymore, it's just he has a problem. He's
He's
got an
one of the
axe to
best
grind.
players. He might be the best player in the league. I mean, it's just he's hard to stop.
Right now, I put him in front of Mahomes. Right now, a young quarterback, I might put him and Herbert in front of Mahomes right now because of the way they're playing right now.
Yeah.
Nothing against Mahomes, and any of the three I'd take in a minute. But I mean, right now, I think right now you got to look at Jackson as Herbert as the best two young quarterbacks in the NFL.
I think so, and he was just unbelievable on Monday night, and just couldn't be stopped. And there was a lot of things going against him, and what more people need to recognize is they're down 2 offensive linemen, they're down 3 running backs, they're down 2 starting wide receivers at least. Sammy Watkins got hurt during the game. The guy they drafted in the first round out of Minnesota hasn't played yet, and they're missing a lot of pieces, and yet he just keeps rolling and willing them to victory.
Well, and it was a nice victory on Monday night, coming from behind to win. And for the Colts, I mean, I don't know what to think of where the Colts are. Wentz late in this game. I mean, I think he played a good game for him, but he's just can get you so far.
Yeah.
So,
well, I was actually surprised at how well he played, but I really still don't believe in him. And let's be honest, his offensive line played a great game because they were making holes and they were blocking for Jonathan Taylor. But the touchdown pass he threw was essentially a swing pass, and it went like 1 yard over the line of scrimmage, and Jonathan Taylor took it 70 yards, and that helped his stats out a lot. But when it came down to it, and he could have led him down to the victory, he didn't.
True. All right. Well, tonight we got Tampa Bay 4-1 against Philadelphia. This could be a nice statement game for Philadelphia if they could match up with Tampa Bay. I'm trying to figure out a reason they could. The way Tampa Bay is playing right now, it seems to be they have enough to carry Tom when he needs to be there, and when he can do his little things during the game, he plays well enough to win. So I don't know. What do you think about this game tonight?
It should be the Buccaneers running away with it, but there are some pieces missing for Tampa Bay. That Levante David's not going to play. Tommy's got a hurt thumb.
Yeah.
He's already building excuses in just in case he doesn't play well. But let's, as much as I'm not a Tom Brady fan, he's played really well the last 3 or 4 weeks. He didn't have his best game against the Rams, but since then he's been lighting it up. So he's gonna have to do that again tonight, because I think the Eagles are going to be able to score some points. They're going to have to throw the ball, and Jalen Hurts is going to have to run the ball. But there's no Antoine Winfield Jr. I may not play. He's still in concussion protocol. Gronk's not going to play, and like I said, Levante David might be the biggest piece of all that'll be missing.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I'd love to. Well, I can't root for Philadelphia because not that it'll help the Giants or hurt the Giants. The Giants are out of it now. I mean, the biggest question for the Giants is whether to play Daniel Jones on Sunday. That was a tough loss for them, both on the field and in the locker room on Sunday, to lose your 2 best offensive weapons pretty much to go along with a wide receiving core that's on its 3rd and 4th string. So I don't know how much the Giants have now. I can see 2-9 coming very fast for the Giants. But I would have to say, I think you're right. I think Tampa Bay will probably get by with it.
Well, the Eagles defense sucks. I mean, I'm sorry, they're not good, and it's like they've kind of ignored that side of the ball. They they have a really good, they have some really good pieces, but they haven't stockpiled linebackers and defensive backs like they need to in order to be able to stop anybody. I mean, we saw it the other night against Dallas. First off, their offensive line was garbage, and Jalen Hurts didn't have time to do anything, and they have no running back to speak of. Miles Sanders is a bust, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean to the guy, but he's not good, and he's not a running back that can just lead a team to a victory. He's just not. He's not that as good as advertised. And then their offensive line hasn't been good in 3 years, and with a defense that's not good either, it's very hard for the Eagles to win. And I feel bad for Jalen Hurts, because if you go and look at what he's doing, and I'm not just saying this because I like him, I'm saying this because I've gone and looked at the tape. He's playing very well, and I think proving that he can be a quarterback in this league. He just needs some help around him.
Yeah, they all do. There's nobody that gets by. I mean, Jackson wouldn't get by with no help. He's got Andrews. He's got a few things going out there for him.
Yeah, no. I was saying the other night that he is missing some pieces, but they still do have some good offensive linemen on the Ravens, and even the guys that they've picked up, to take over the places of the guys that are missing on the Ravens are doing a pretty good job.
All right. I saw this quote in the paper. It's pretty cool. Carson Wentz on the Colts 1-4 start. Leadership has to rise up. I love when you're supposed to rise up if you're saying that, sir. Look in the mirror.
Yeah, aren't you the leader?
Yeah, you were supposed to be number one leader. Okay, there you go. So I guess you're indicting yourself. Sunday we start out up back in England with another game. I mean, this game, if Miami doesn't get healthy on this team, they're not going to get healthy on anybody. But we're sending two bad teams again over to England to sell the NFL football game, Miami and Jacksonville. And maybe it's a good time for Jacksonville. Get out of the country, get Urban Meyer across the pond. I mean, I don't know. 0-5 against 1-4. I don't think I'm going to be in a hurry to get up and watch that on Sunday.
They always send the worst games over there. It's like, if you want to get these people to really be involved and to really care about the league, send them a team with a pulse. It's like, what the hell? And you know what? My question is Urban Meyer going to fly with the team, over there or not? I mean, he may just fly coach and, stop at some bars, some pubs.
Watch out for the stewardesses. The thing about, I still don't know, like you just said, they send these terrible games over to England. Why are we even worried about it? I mean, I don't know. I've never gotten the reason they're trying to sell over there. Is there that much money over there for the American game? I mean, the country has, I think, like 30 professional soccer leagues.
Well, I don't know if you've heard, but the plan is to play an additional game overseas in Germany. And they've been talking the last 2 weeks. They've got 3 different cities in Germany that are essentially bidding on who gets to host a game. So, I don't know, but I got to imagine, I get it that these guys, these players, they all want more money. They all want to make more bread. I get that, but I got to imagine that none of them want to be flying back and forth to Germany and London
for a week
between games.
For a week, especially at a time like this, in the middle of a pandemic. The other things you have to go through. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just scratching the wrong surface here, but I've just never been a big believer in this football. I mean, they've got soccer. Let them have soccer. They can have all those soccer players back. Then we'll start with the 1:00 games. We got Green Bay, which got out of Cincinnati by the skin of their teeth, and Chicago, the classic NFC North matchup. As far as legendary matchups, Green Bay against Chicago, 1:00 game. 4-1 against 3-2. Chicago's not that far out of it. Could they do so? I mean, Green Bay, Cincinnati is not exactly a powerhouse yet, and they took them as far as they could. Can Chicago do the same thing?
They definitely can. I mean, what's very interesting is that the Bears are kind of winning in spite of their horrible coach. I mean, he's doing everything he can to screw this team up, and yet they're still finding out a way to win games. Now, I think they were kind of the benefit of what all was going on Sunday with the Raiders. There was a lot of distraction, I think, obviously, going into that game. But, you still had to go out there and win it. I mean, the Raiders were still trying to win, so you got to give the Bears some credit. And that defense is good, man. And if they can get it together and go out there and make plays like they did on Sunday, if they can go in there and hit Rodgers, if they can shut the run down, and take Devontae. I mean, they're going to have to take Devontae Adams out of the game.
Yeah.
Why people don't double Devontae Adams every effing time that he drop every time he drops back to pass, there should be two guys on Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
If he beat you with Randall Cobb, fine. But I mean, don't give Devontae Adams a chance.
Alan Lazard doesn't scare me. I'm sorry. Right. Martez Valdez-Scantling does not frighten me. He's got good speed, but half the time he can't catch the ball. They don't even really play the rookie Amari Rodgers, who obviously I love since he's from Knoxville, Tennessee. But the rest of their receiving core and their tight ends, I'm just not frightened of. And so the Bears actually have the personnel to get in the backfield, disrupt what Rodgers wants to do, and shut down Aaron Jones. The question is, can they take Devontae Adams out of his game? That'll be the question.
That's the big question. And, that's the question for everybody every week. And I don't see why somebody can't solve it. Next 1 o'clock game, we got Cincinnati, who lost a tough one. I think Joe Burrows is okay. But they're going into Detroit, a game that they should get healthy on and maybe get to 4-2.
Yeah, that's I feel so bad for the Lions. This is a franchise that just seems to not be able to get out of its own way. And, Jared Goff actually is playing pretty dang well this year, to be honest. I mean, I feel bad for this guy because he's doing everything he can. He's got 1,300 yards passing in 6 games. He's thrown 7 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, but and that's with having no wide receivers.
Right.
So, I don't really expect him to win this game just because of how the Bengals have been playing recently. But if ever the Lions were going to get one, I think they match up fairly well against the Bengals. So, you know what? I got to look at the spread here. I'm trying to remember what the spread is in this game. I think it's 3.5 Cincinnati, but it's in Detroit. So, I might be looking that this might possibly be the game the Lions could get off the schneid.
All right. Next game is Houston against Indy, both 2-1-4 teams. Indy coming off a kind of a heartbreaking loss. I mean, I think they played as well as you can expect them to play at this point in their lives right now. And Houston played well against the Patriots, and both came away losing. I mean, I would say the Colts should have the upper hand in this, but as you pointed out last week or on Monday, this Texas coach has this team playing tough.
I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed with Coach Pulley. I didn't know. I got to be honest. I didn't know a whole lot about him until he came up as a candidate there, and then I did some research. But I just didn't know a lot about him until he took over down there. But the way that these guys play and the way that this team fights, it has to come from somewhere. And I just think it's coming from this coach. And you know what? I think that after Monday night's game, the Colts may be due for a letdown. So they better be ready. I wouldn't just walk in there and think that you're going to get the victory. How bad did the NFL want the the Colts to win that game the other night.
Oh, yeah.
They wanted it. They wanted them to win. You could hear it just by the commentators. I was listening to half of it on the radio because I was out driving around, running errands for my wife, and also I was watching some of it on TV. And both sets of announcers were like, "Come on, Carson Wentz! Look how great he's playing. There, Colts are going to get this one." And it was like they were both cheering for the Colts because this division is horrible. You've got a winless team who may not win a game in the Jaguars. You've got the Texans, who we just talked about, are fighting their butts off but have zero talent.
They're combined 2-13.
Yeah, and then you got the Colts, who have a glass menagerie at quarterback who's going to break at any moment. And they're 1-4 anyway, even with him playing. So the only team that's halfway decent is the Titans, and they can't beat the Jets. So this division is just a disaster, and the NFL is just sitting there every game going, "Oh my gosh, what is happening?" So,
the only thing I kept having flashbacks to watching that game was the fact that it was so weird for me because growing up, the Baltimore Colts were the Baltimore Colts. So it kind of seemed, I kept wondering, I was waiting to see if there were some Colts jerseys, if they were vintage Colts jerseys in the some old Burt Jones jerseys or something like that there, instead of, but, and there's got to be some people still in Baltimore that love the Colts just because they grew up loving the Colts. So anyways, that was my little flashback there. Now here's a game that could become a game of the day. First of all, Washington, can they get their defense together, and Kansas City can they get their defense together? Because it's going to be interesting to have the Washington football team taking on the Chiefs. 2-3 both.
Both these teams are 2-3, and another loss could send one of these teams, I believe, into a tailspin. I mean, you start the NFL's campaign at 2-4, and that's you're in trouble. And the way the Chiefs played the other night, I got to be honest, they don't look good to me. They can't stop anybody, and the offense knows it. So it's like Patrick Mahomes is trying to score 2 touchdowns every possession. I'm stealing that from someone else that I heard it on NFL radio. He really does look like he's trying to score twice on every possession, and he's trying too hard. And they're trying to go too fast, and most of these teams, as we talked about on Monday night's show, are trying to take away the deep ball and make the Chiefs methodically march down the field, and they don't really want to do that. They're not really built for that. They're big play potential all the time, and they want to live off those big plays. Well, if you keep them from having those big plays, they seem to get a little complacent. And now, their running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire is out. He's on the injured reserve list, which means he's gone for at least 3 weeks, and that's trouble because they're not going to be able to run the ball without him.
Yeah, you're right. They depend a lot on chunk plays. But
and Washington, I think they've actually weathered the storm pretty well, considering they went out and got this quarterback who was supposed to be their franchise guy in Ryan Fitzpatrick, and the first time that he's actually set up to be the starter with really nobody pushing him behind him. And, he goes down with that hip injury. So I feel really bad for Fitzpatrick. I hope he can come back at some point, and I know that the coaching staff at Washington hopes he comes back soon because, it's just tough sledding with this young guy out there.
Then we got Minnesota going into Carolina. Now, is Cook back or not?
He's slated to potentially come back for this game. I know he's still on the injury report, but I've heard that he's potentially available for this game. I think I've got to look it up and see what he's listed as. But, their other running back, Alexander Madison, he's listed as questionable, so he may not play. And then, you've got their best player, as we've mentioned many times, Cook, who's potentially not going to play. So, that's something to really look at. I think if, they don't have Dalvin Cook out there and they don't have Madison out there, they have no chance. But I expect Dalvin Cook to be back this week. I think they just kind of held him out last week as a precautionary thing, and I think that they're gonna have him back. And I'm picking the Vikings in this one.
Well, and McCaffrey, I guess, was held out of practice today, which means his availability is in question as well.
Then you got Sam Darnold too. So
yeah,
I'm taking. That's why I'm taking the Vikings, because I don't believe in Sam Darnold. I think you're starting to see the wheels fall off, and people even in Carolina are starting to question. Starting to question Sam Darnold, and this defense can come after you, man. Eric Kendricks, Anthony Barr, Danielle Hunter, Everson Griffin, they're starting to play better. And you get my boy Harry Hitman Smith coming off the edge, and he'll knock your ass out.
Yeah, well, I mean, Darnold, I just don't know why he gets presented the starting job without having to prove anything everywhere he goes. But,
you don't even have a young guy in there for him to, don't even have a young guy in there to potentially go to if it doesn't work out with Darnold. You don't have
a veteran
pushing him. It's just, this was a bad move, in my opinion, trading for this guy and then handing him your starting quarterback position. I just think it was a bad idea.
And then we have the Rams and Giants. This is one of those games that couldn't have come in the worst. I mean, right now, going into Dallas, you knew the Giants were going to have to play their A game to win. They come away losing Barkley. They lose Jones. Their offense is a mess. Their defense is a mess. I mean, this. I don't want to give up on the season as a whole. I mean, I still like Joe Judge. I still think this team, at some point, luck's got to turn for them or something's got to turn. But on defense, they don't have playmakers. They don't have any. There's not a pass rush that's going to go after Stafford. So you got to believe he's going to sit back in the pocket all day long and just pick them apart. And I just don't see a reason to think this won't be something like a 30-10, 30-13 win for the Rams going easy.
Yeah, well, you look at the Giants offense and everybody with a pulse is out. I mean, they're going to be without Daniel Jones. Saquon Barkley's gone. Kenny Galladay's banged up. Sterling Shepard was held out of practice again today. Kadarius Toney is out. Andrew Thomas is out. Ben Bredeson, their left guard, is out. So, there's their whole offense. Jabril Peppers is probably out of this game. Logan Ryan is out of this game. So, yeah, it's not good. You've already got Blake Martinez and Cam Brown on IR. And, it's just, like you mentioned, it couldn't be at a worse time to play against possibly one of the best teams in the league. Now, I will say that I've been very impressed with the young rookie for the Giants that they drafted out of Georgia. He's looked pretty good to me. And Azeez Ujulari, the pass rusher, I'm pretty impressed with him. And I didn't expect a whole lot from him the first year, but he's looked good to me. And, they're going to need him to get after the quarterback because I'm not sure who else they've got that can do it.
Yeah, it's just one of those games where I don't even know if I would feel good about them playing Houston or even Jacksonville this week with what they can put on the field.
No,
they're not putting a representative NFL team out there.
Yeah, there's a couple of college teams that could beat the Mike Glennon-led Giants this weekend.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll tune in and watch it, but oh my God, I hope somewhere I can get the Charger Raven game just to keep going back and forth to that, because that's the last 1 o'clock game we got to talk about, and this should be there are some good matchups coming up that we got to talk about. First off, this should be the A game of the day. Two, we talked about it, might be the two best young quarterbacks in football dueling out with each other. Chargers are coming across country, which is always a tough situation, going into Baltimore for an early game. And I'm looking forward. I don't think this is going to be a hard game to analyze without thinking it's going to be something like a 34-30, 31-28, one of those type games.
Yeah, I'm taking the Chargers in this one just based on the way their offense is playing. I know that Lamar is out of his mind right now. But I just think with the personnel he's going to have trouble keeping up with Justin Herbert. And I don't think that the Ravens defense is going to be able to get enough stops to give Lamar a chance. I just don't think they are. And it's unfortunate because I'm loving watching Lamar playing right now. But I just feel like, he's kind of been pulling these games out of his what the past few weeks. I mean, that Lions victory where they, where it was 4th and 19 and they picked it up, and then the 66-yard field goal. And then this past weekend where the Colts kicker missed a 34-yarder to whatever it was to win the game and gave Lamar another chance. I mean, things have been going their way, and I feel like their luck may change. But like you mentioned, the Chargers have got to go across the pond, and it's going to be a pretty early start for them. So that might be in the Ravens' favor. But my question is are any of these guys going to come back for the Ravens and help out Lamar? I mean, he needs some of these dudes to show up. He needs to get, I know they activated Miles Boykin off an injured reserve, but how much help is he going to be? Sammy Watkins is banged up. Rashad Bateman is still on injured reserve. And then you've got, obviously the 3 running backs that are out. So I don't know. It's a tough task to expect Lamar to be able to do it again.
That's for sure. And then we got the team no one recognizes is still undefeated, the Arizona Cardinals going into Cleveland. I'm starting to think that this could be the game this is a game that's got to wake Cleveland up. They need this game. If this takes them to 3-3, they're just going to be one of those average teams. They might make the playoffs. They might not make the playoffs. But they got to start beating some of these teams. I mean, they came close with Kansas City. They came close last week. They got to start beating some winning teams, and they got to do it this week at home. Arizona coming in. Odds are that Arizona's played well, but no one really goes undefeated in this league. So I mean, everybody gets a ding somewhere along the line. This is a big game for Cleveland. What do you think about their odds?
Yeah, I'm liking the Browns in this one. I know everybody's jumping off the bandwagon, but I haven't seen too much that scares me out of the Browns. I still think they're a good, solid team. I still think that they've got enough talent to win games like this, and I expect the Browns to come out and have a good showing, and I expect them to win this game. I think this is not a must-win by any stretch, but I think this is a game they want to make a statement in. And, I think they're just as talented as the Cardinals are. And you know what? It's very hard to go undefeated in the NFL. So I'm taking the Browns in this one. They're playing up in the dog pound. And I think that the Browns can get it done. This defense has to play better. And I think they know that.
Then we got Las Vegas against Denver. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to think about this game. Gruden's gone, which maybe some people on that team are happy. I don't know. But Denver is kind of reeling after their hot start. I mean, we knew they were playing some bad teams, now we know they were playing some bad teams at the beginning of the year after they beat up the 2 New York teams. And you're looking at this game. I was reading a little bit about the new interim coach in with the Raiders. I mean, he's been in coaching for 39 years. 20 in the NFL. He coached with Gruden at Tampa. He's been around. Of course, everybody sings his praises. I don't know much about him. But, sometimes that new coach effect just gives a team a push for a week. So I'm kind of liking the Raiders in this game.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of feeling the opposite. I'm kind of thinking that they are going to potentially have fall apart. I mean, they pretty much kind of fell apart last week. And, it's the NFL's tough to win every game. And with all that's going on right now, I just feel like the attention to detail might be a little bit lacking. Now, sometimes, like you said, these guys can just put all their energy into their game prep, and they can put all their focus into winning this game. But it's easier said than done. So I don't know. It can go one of two ways. Either they can, get together as a team and as a squad and go out there and win one for each other, or they could really fall apart and the season could go the other direction.
I remember last week they might have been getting rumors about something going on with Gruden and not knowing what's going on, and they're not knowing what. Now they know the coach is gone,
right?
So I mean, at least they know who's going to be coaching the rest of the year. If they like him, they might want to keep this guy. We don't know. We don't know what this guy has meant to these guys. This might be the kind of coach who walks down that sidelines and they're like sitting there going, "Hey, we like this guy. Let's play hard for him." So maybe we'll give Davis a hard time at the end of the year to pick somebody else.
No, and that's very, very possible. But you got to remember how hands-on John Gruden was as a coach. I mean, this guy was the play caller. This guy was the head coach. He created all the schemes for the offense. So it's going to look different, in my opinion. The one thing they do have going for them is they have a veteran quarterback who's played a lot of football, who knows this offense very, very well. He's been in this offense for a long time. And so I think a lot more is going to fall on his shoulders. And so, we'll see how far Derek Carr can take him. It's just tough to me to think that they can, block out all the distraction that'll be surrounding this game.
Were you a little surprised that Gus Bradley didn't get the interim since he's been a head coach before?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Rod Marinelli's on that staff as well.
Yeah, but Rod's been around forever.
He's been a head coach before.
I would rather see Gus get another shot before Rod Marinelli. I've seen the Rod Marinelli show.
My point is those two guys have been head coaches.
So maybe it says, maybe it speaks
to me. They went with this guy that's never been a head coach in his life.
Maybe it speaks volumes. Maybe maybe it really is giving him an audition. Maybe they're sitting there going, the Raiders over the years like to, at least his father liked hiring from within for the most part. Madden was on the coaching staff before he took over. Flores was an old Raider and was on the coaching staff when he took over for Madden. Art Shelley they gave a shot to. So they like keeping it in-house with the Raiders, or did like keeping it in-house. So we'll see. I mean, it could be an audition for this guy, and God bless him. Let's see what he becomes. It would be nice to see a good story like that come out of what's been such a bad story.
I agree. And, from all I've heard, he's a guy that's been in coaching his whole life. He's worked from the bottom up and earned his stripes. So I'm, good for him. And I hope he does do well, but I'm just saying it's a difficult situation.
Oh yeah.
There's obviously a lot, swirling around right now, but at the same time, the offense has been productive and Gus Bradley has certainly rearranged that defense. Gus Bradley and Dan Quinn are definitely two guys that I have a ton of respect for, because the Raiders defense and the Cowboys defense looks like two completely different units from last year to this year.
And the last three games are going to be very, very interesting to me. First of all, Dallas could send New England to a tailspin right now. I mean, I'm not just saying because what they did to the Giants last week. I mean, you've been saying it all year. I'm convinced now. I mean, this Dallas team is a different animal. This is if the injury bug doesn't hit this team, they should be one of the last teams standing in the NFC before the Super Bowl. There's not a lot of holes in this team. I mean, their defense is playing well. They've got some young studs on defense finally that are playmakers, and their offensive line seems back to the way it was 3 or 4 years ago. Their wide receivers, they might have the best core of wide receivers around. And then you got Dak Prescott and those two running backs. I mean, I respect the hell out of Bill Belichick. In days gone by, I would say he could come up with something, and going up to New England would be something tricky. But the weather up here isn't bad. So, I mean, they're not going to have that going for them, which is usually the thing that helps the Patriots. somewhere along the line they get their snowstorm. Not going to happen this weekend. And a rookie quarterback still finding his way, and a defense that really hasn't rounded into shape yet.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, the Cowboys have been looking for a playmaking corner since Dion took off. I mean, who's been their playmaking shutdown corner since Dion? Give me a name.
You can't.
Okay, that's because they haven't had one. But Trayvon Diggs is just doing things that are blowing me away every week. And I've been just completely and utterly impressed with this guy. He's just I don't know even the word to describe him. He looks like a wide receiver playing corner, and he seems to be going after the ball just like the wideout. He knows what routes they're running. So I've been very impressed with Trayvon Diggs, and he's basically shutting down one half of the field, and that just allows the rest of this defense to go out and play. And now Keanu Neal is healthy. They've got Micah Parsons back in the linebacker position because they're playing Basham and Gregory down in the end. So I think that's a good thing for them. And like I just mentioned a minute ago, Dan Quinn's done a tremendous job. And this offense finally looks like we thought it would look the last 3 or 4 years. And I think partially that's due to, Dak, and also it's due to the offensive line stepping up and for the most part being healthy.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be bad news for New England. And I think, it's just going to give Buffalo a little bit more cushion, although we're going to get to them in a minute. The Sunday night game, Pittsburgh had a big win last week. Seattle seems to be reeling, and they're not going to have their quarterback.
Yeah. This is a great chance for the Steelers to get back on track with, I know that your boy Geno played really well last week, but as we mentioned on Monday, it's a little bit easier to go out there and string together a couple passes in a half than to, go out there and have a full game when the other team is prepping for you.
And not to put it down, but I mean, he did throw the vital interception late in the game.
Yeah, that wasn't really his fault, though. If you watch the tape, the receiver fell down.
Yeah.
So that wasn't really – he had let go of the ball, expecting the wideout to be there, and he had fallen down. Now, it was into double coverage, but, hell, man, they were trying to win the game late. So I don't really put that one on him. But he played amazing considering, he went in there cold. He actually played better than Russell did. I know nobody wants to say that, but Russell was struggling in that game. And Geno came in and provided a spark.
Yeah, but the thing is, the one thing is that, and you, because you're a defensive guy, I mean, you work all week expecting one quarterback and his tendencies and things like that. I mean, I saw it a million times when the Giants had a great defense with LT and Carl Banks and those guys. They'd knock a quarterback out, and the next quarterback come in, and all of a sudden you're like, why didn't this guy start? Because he's throwing the ball over. It's just, at first, it takes you a couple of minutes to figure out what this guy can and can't do. And, I know these people have seen Geno Smith before. They know his game. But no one knows what he's been doing for weeks or months or years. He hasn't been playing. So the fact of the matter is he's learned something on the bench. But, I mean, a little bit of a grain of salt is, the Steelers are going to prepare for him. The Steelers are going to know, okay, we know it's Geno Smith. So we're gonna get there and have a game plan set to stop what Geno Smith does well. And we'll see what he does.
I also expect the Steelers to run over the Seahawks. They've had trouble playing defense against the run. The Steelers finally started to get their running game going last week with Najee Harris having a big game, and I expect them to try and run the Seahawks over.
And then we got the final game Monday night. It's a big game. It looked bigger in the offseason in a way because Tennessee's got to start playing better. I mean, but right now Buffalo might be the best team in football. But right now there's another big game. Tennessee, needs to start showing and dominating. It looks like they're gonna take that division. You talked about it a few minutes ago. That's the worst division in football right now, and they should run away with it. But they got to start. They don't want to be one and done when they get to the playoffs, and they got to start playing better.
Yeah, this is not the game for it. I expect the Bills to throttle the Titans, and I know some people are probably not wanting to hear that, but I can't really envision the Titans being able to stop the Bills with that defense. I mean, the defense has gotten a little bit better from last year, but have they gotten good enough to be able to stop Josh Allen and what they've got going on right now? I don't think so. And, Derrick Henry, they're going to key on Derrick Henry. The Bills have a defensive-minded head coach in McDermott, and they're going to try and take Derrick Henry out of this game, just like everybody does. And it doesn't always work.
No.
But, I expect them to really try and go after Derrick and really try and get him out of this ball game because, Tannehill's been a little shaky. And we'll see. A.J. Brown and Julio Jones should both be back, but they've been banged up. So we're going to need a big game out of A.J. Brown and Julio Jones if the Titans are going to have any sort of a chance to win this game.
I mean, the Steelers, it looks right now, over the last 4 weeks, it looks like the Steelers did nobody any favors punching the Bills in the nose the first week. Because all they did was wake up a sleeping giant. You know what I mean?
They seem to have knocked the beehive off the branch.
Yeah, I mean, this team is getting more and more dominant. I mean, and they don't take the foot off the accelerator. I mean, they get you down, they keep you down, and they don't give you a chance to get back. So I mean, the Bills are serious people this year. We might be looking at a rematch of a couple of Super Bowls, Bills Cowboys.
You know what? That's a potential matchup. And what I really liked when I was watching the game against the Chiefs the other night, the Bills had a 9-guy rotation going on their defensive line, and it was just like their linemen were all fresh at all times, and that helped them against the run. It helped them, keeping a pass rush. I mean, Patrick Mahomes didn't have all day to sit back there and pick them apart because they were coming and they were all fresh. And I really was impressed with the way they were rotating guys in and out and the way that they were kind of platooning dudes on that D line. And I think that's a recipe for success the rest of the way.
All right, quick one here. I don't know if you're prepared for it. We're going to look, if the season ended today, this would be the AFC lineup for playoff teams. Chargers, Baltimore, Buffalo, Tennessee, Cincinnati, Denver, Vegas. I know we both like Buffalo. Are there any other surefire bets you think in those 17 games or 7 teams?
The way the Chargers are playing right now, I see them as a playoff team, and
okay.
It kind of goes back to last year when they were in almost every game. They just seemed to keep figuring out a way to lose them. And it seems like, I was critical of them getting rid of Anthony Lynn. I thought that they kind of shortchanged him, and I thought that they kind of blamed everything on him and got him out of there. But it's looking like a really smart move now because this Brandon Staley guy seems to know what he's doing. So I'm thinking the Chargers are going to be a playoff team. I'm still not counting the Chiefs out yet, just because I have faith in Steve Spagnuolo. This guy's done it before. He's been in this league a long time. He's had a lot of success. He's won, 2 Super Bowls as a defensive coordinator. So I think he can get it turned around potentially. So I'm not ready to write them off yet. And to be honest, I'm still not 100% sure what to do with the AFC North. I'm not giving up on the Browns. I'm not giving up on the Steelers. And I'm not 100% sure that the Ravens can keep pulling games out like this, considering all the pressure and all the weight that they're putting on Lamar's back.
Buffalo's net point differential, 108 points.
Yeah. They're looking pretty good. I mean, you got to remember they had 2 shutouts where they scored over 40 points. So there's 80 differential right there. They've ever since the second half of the Steelers game, they've looked pretty solid. And it's a shame that a team has to come out of the AFC South because they may not have a playoff worthy team in that group.
I'll tell you, in the next, we'll flash the NFC now. You got Arizona, Dallas, Tampa Bay, and Green Bay. I could see all four of those teams being playoff teams right now in there right now. But the Rams are only a game behind Arizona. Then it would be Chicago and Carolina. You and I both think Carolina are heading in the wrong direction. Chicago, and then right outside of that is your New Orleans Saints. So we'll give you that. We'll make this an 8 team. What do you think? Go ahead.
I think the Saints have a chance. I mean, I know they've been a little bit inconsistent, but Jameis has played pretty well overall. I know he had the one game that didn't look good, but other than that, I've been pretty impressed with him. And the defense in New Orleans has a potential to be a playoff caliber defense, in my opinion. So I think that the Saints still have a shot, especially considering the Falcons. I don't really believe in, and the Panthers, I think, are destined to fall apart with that quarterback. So, the real question for me is the NFC West. Who's going to come out of there? I mean, the setup right now, the Rams and the Cardinals look good, but those teams have to keep playing each other. So we'll see what happens out of those four spots.
Yeah, but the thing they have going for them is Seattle and San Francisco are with on their second string quarterbacks. One's a rookie with who has a lot of potential. The other one is Geno Smith, who, as you said, played well for one game. I want to see more when the team's prepared for him. But when you think about, they've got a 2-game bulge already over the Rams and them have, but they have a two game advantage already. So I mean, I don't know how many times they play the Rams again, but they got to make it up somehow to get back in the race. So I do think the Saints will jump in there and take over for where Carolina is. So I could see, if you look at that 7 teams, like I said, in the NFC, which were the Arizona, Dallas, Tampa Bay, Green Bay, Rams, Chicago, and New Orleans. I mean, Chicago, I'll put a question mark behind, but I'll go New Orleans, Rams, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Dallas, and Arizona. If the injury bug doesn't hit those teams, I think all 6 could be right in the playoffs, no problem.
Yeah, the Bears have a shot. I think if Justin Fields can continue to grow, if the coach will get the hell out of his way, and you maybe call some plays that suit.
Why don't you send him some emails?
I heard that today. That I saw a meme that somebody was saying, like, Bears fans be like, and there was all these guys on computers, like they were going through Nagy's emails, and they're trying to find something that Nagy said that they can fire him for. So
find somebody. If somebody's got something on them, just put the feelers out. Come on.
Well, it's funny to me, like when their offense has a bad game, he's like, well, Laser was calling the plays, and then he's like, I'm going to take it back over, and it's like somebody needs to be the play caller and someone needs to not be.
I mean, something comes to mind is like, it's Chicago, man. That was a mob city. They can do a hit.
Yeah. They should have fired this guy 2 years ago, is what we talked about. And, he's already ruined one quarterback in Trubisky. And, I just hope he doesn't ruin another one.
Well, I don't think he's going to really get the chance. I mean, I think the McCaskies or McCaskey/Hallises are kind of like the Maras. They're the old time guard with the NFL, where they love when their fans call for a change, they make a change.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think, but I just he made the playoffs once, and they've been giving him a lot of leash.
Considering the way that it works in the NFL today, he has been given a long-term contract. A long time.
Some of these guys want to fire Urban after 4 games. They wanted him out of there.
I'm starting to hear rumblings about Joe Judge, and he had one season, and He inherited a team that was in disarray. Didn't have Saquon Barkley all last year. Has a quarterback that no one now that we're finally seeing what he can do. You realize that he does have some talent, but he didn't play like it last year. And everybody wants to get rid of this guy. And I'm sorry, right now, Joe Judge has another year in him at least because there's no one. If he gets this team to play with the Rams competitively, not win, just play competitively with the Rams, it would be a hell of a coaching job.
I agree. I mean, this is where you can earn your money in the NFL. If he and his defensive coordinator can put together a game plan to stay in this ball game, I think that'll prove their worth. But yeah, I mean that's what's surprising to me. This guy in Cincinnati has been crapping along for 3 years and done nothing, and he seems to held his job. And this guy Nagy in Chicago makes the dumbest decisions that a coach can make, and he gets to keep his job. But these other guys get, have their hot seats burning after 3 weeks, and it's confusing to me in that regard.
Well, I mean, I know you were a fan back then too, and when Sam Weiss was running the Bengals, that was kind of the first time since Forrest Gregg that you had a team that you could be really proud of in Cincinnati. I mean, he gave you about 4 or 5 years where they were competitive, and they went to the Super Bowl once with him, and since then, I mean, they become an afterthought. So you can get away. A secondary coach can get away with it. I mean, Mike Brown can get away with being cheap, but the Bears are a kind of team. It's surprising outside of the Ditka era. How long they've gone without having, a really. I mean, he had Lovie Smith do a good job there for a while, but really they've had a coaching carousel that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I agree, and honestly, Lovie took him to the Super Bowl, and then they fired him a couple years after that. And to get to the Super Bowl with Rex Grossman as your quarterback, I think that's doing a hell of a coaching job, in my opinion. They were riding Devin Hester to get their points for him. Even in the Super Bowl, they're like, Devin, you got to go and you got to return a kickoff for us right here. And Devin's like, wait, what? I've already got 5 kickoff returns for touchdowns this year. And they're like, yeah, well, we need one in the Super Bowl too. And he takes the opening kickoff back, and everybody's like, woo! And I'm like, yeah, wait for a minute, because eventually the offense is going to have to go out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the first year with Brady and the Patriots. Troy Brown, how many big kick returns did he make?
Yeah.
At least giving him field position, the short field, whatever. That guy made so many returns. So, anyways, do we have a pick? We have the picks for the weekend.
Yes, sir. We do, actually. Let me pull my picks up because I took them down when I was looking at the standings here. But, yeah, I've got a couple. As I mentioned, I feel like that, I don't know, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm picking the Browns to win this game. And
you know me, I root for Baker.
Yeah.
I just like Baker.
Well, I mean, a lot of people are talking about that the Cardinals are being disrespected because they're a 3.5 point underdog, but I feel like they're going to win, and I'm picking them to take this game. And then, as we already talked about too, I feel like that the Steelers are going to come back. Everyone wanted to fire Tomlin and get rid of Ben Roethlisberger after they lost a couple games in a row, but I feel like Steeler Nation is not going to go away, and I think they can take care of the Seahawks, especially without Russ.
2 things. What day is Halloween on? We start thinking about that.
I don't know. That's 31st. 31st.
Yeah, I know it's the
Sunday.
Just a Sunday. Okay, so
yep.
I didn't want to get in the way of you taking out your daughter trick or treating. Number one, and what's she going to be?
Well, we're going back and forth right now. She really likes Spider-Man, so she wants a Spider-Man costume, but her mom already made her a kitty cat costume. And then she also got a Minnie Mouse costume. So we got 3 outfits right now. Which one she's going to rock out on Halloween Day, We're not sure.
All right. Well, you'll have to flash some pictures when the final. Actually, we could maybe what you should do on Sunday, flash some pictures up there for and on our show, flash some pictures and see if anybody will call in and vote on it.
I will do it. We got a big show coming up this Sunday. We have 2 huge guests joining us on Sunday at 11:30. I can't reveal the names because we're keeping this a mysterious secret, but we've got 2 big-time college football players that are going to join us, current college football players that are going to join us on our show, Man Coverage, at man_coverage on Twitter. Tune in Sunday, 11 o'clock. Guests will join us at 11:30. And then the following week, on October 24th, a week from Sunday, we're going to have Joey Kent, the all-time leading receiver in Tennessee football history, is going to join us then. So 2 big-time shows coming up the next 2 Sundays.
All right. We'll be tuning in. All right. Cue the band.
Paul Schaefer.